Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the LFC Transfer Room. You have Dan, Stu, and Carl. The match reaction against Fulham. Liverpool have won a game convincingly. It feels like it's been a lifetime ago, but no, it was just a before. I'm very happy. It was nice to see. I'm really pleased. 2 wins on the bounce, and we scored a goal that wasn't from a set piece. So everything's going great over at Liverpool. We're back in the title challenge. Don't know what everyone was moaning about. Lads, Stu, tell me how you feel after the game.
Relieved. I think it's the main word. Relieved. Okay. I mean, admittedly, the last couple of weeks has been a proper sticky patch. Probably one of the worst patches I can remember. Like sort of under clock. Yeah. Even like sort of going like sort of back to last season, the start of last season, where we were in a rough area. But I think because we've not got ahead of ourselves as such, but because we are in this title race, and we didn't expect to be in this title race. Let's face it, we had a rebuild in the summer. We didn't expect to be in this position where we were fighting for a quadruple at one point. But it is what it is at the end of the day, and we got the 3 points. We played really well. There was a sticky patch probably 10, 15 minutes into that first half, more towards the end of the first half, should I say, where we kind of shot ourselves in the foot a little bit because we took our eye off the ball again. But second half, I think, was a lot better. And the goals themselves were 3 really, really good goals. And we're finally sticking the ball on the back of the net again, which is great.
It was really nice, definitely. Cole, you're not one to get carried away, but it's our title to lose, isn't it?
Yeah, you certainly hope so. I mean, if you do the thing that really all great teams do, which is only focus on the game in front of you.
Yeah.
Then in most cases, good things happen. If you, when you truly see a team that is only focusing on the game directly in hand, you get good things out of it. So, let's hope that we're only focusing on the next game. We're obviously going to talk a lot about that, but yeah, I don't know what the halftime talk consisted of. I'm hesitant to say that every time that we come out with a good second half performance that it's just Jurgen laying into them, because I think at a certain point that doesn't really help. If you're down, as a team emotionally, mentally, struggling with confidence, I think as we have, as Stu pointed out, the last couple weeks have been pretty brutal. I think sometimes the last thing that you want, or the last thing that works, is just laying into people.
Yeah.
So I wonder what kind of changes were made, little tweaks, but whatever it was, it was a marked improvement almost from the immediate start of the second half, as opposed to the, again, Stu pointed out, the last 20 minutes of the first half were just, a dull blade. It just looked, it looked like we were just happy to be playing against them at 1-up and just try to see the game out. And that's just as we know what that gets us, in pretty much every situation. So.
Yeah, no, I would agree. There's something I actually commented on in our chat while the game was ongoing, and certainly not egotistical enough to think that I could influence a football match by jinxing it. I said, wasn't it nice to watch 2 games on the bounce where Liverpool hadn't conceded in the first 20 minutes, which is a rarity. So I noted the one thing I was looking for the most in that game. I was confident that we could score goals. I was very confident that we would score at least 2. I'm glad we got the third one, but I felt that we had 2 goals in us. By the way, that I think that we had the options of the way we could play. What I was most focusing on was about being defensively just better, just being more like a team who's at the top of the table, no longer giving goals away, kind of just cheaply. Every goal we seem to concede, other than I would say from the last one that I would feel like not much you can do there, was Brighton's goal when Danny Welbeck scored an absolute belter, which is like, do you know what? Fair play. Great goal. 99 times out of 100, that doesn't go in. And on the one occasion, it went straight in. Fair play to it. But the goal that we conceded against Crystal Palace, which we ended up losing to, was just sad. It was just embarrassing. It was just like, come on, this isn't the way that we play. So I was really happy with the way that we played up until probably about the 40th minute, to be honest, where we just really felt like we started to lose some control, and we needed just a little bit more gamesmanship from me, that we just needed to be able to say, right, just slow the game down. When we get a goal kick, take your time. When we get a throw in, take your time. Just be a little bit more. I know the style of play that Liverpool play is to play fast, play quickly, to attack teams and to go all out. But at times, you just need to be able to have that bit more control. And we creep back into playing to their level. And fair play to Fulham. Antoine Robinson played a lovely ball in. Robertson was all over the place, to be honest. Really poor defensively for their goal that he conceded. And then Castagna scored the goal. Stu, what did you make of Liverpool's sort of? Did you notice that we played in a different way? Did you see that there was a difference from us, or did you just feel that everything that we were doing beforehand was just paying off for us? The goals that we should have scored, we did. Or was it more of a case of that we were a different team now after the Atalanta and Palace game?
I think they took. I think the team as a whole took a little bit of confidence from the Atalanta result. Okay, yeah. Right, sorry. My mic.
Carry on.
Yeah. So yeah, the Atalanta result. We didn't get the European result that we wanted, but we still won the game 1-0. We were okay. That was all about building up that little bit of confidence again. But I was a little bit worried up until the free kick when we got the first goal. The first half an hour, the tempo still wasn't quite there. They still looked a little bit nervous. And then, as you say, in the last 5 minutes or so, 5-10 minutes of the first half, we kind of threw it away a little bit. Did we play a different way, or is it just purely down to confidence? I think it's more just purely down to confidence more than anything else. I don't think there was any tactical tweaks that I could see or messages that were being relayed to say, right, okay, you got to play like this or you got to play like that. I just think when that second goal went in, which was a belting goal, fair play to Gravenberch. That was a great goal to go in. He absolutely smashed that in. As soon as that one went in, at that point when the three subs were getting ready, I think that G'd up the team there and thought, hang on a second, okay, we've got this now. And we know that we can go straight in at them and get another goal. And that's exactly what we did. And we controlled the game from there on. So I just think it's more to do with the confidence than anything else. No other tactical tweaks or anything like that. Just purely down to mindset more than anything else.
Yeah, definitely. I can agree with that one. Cole, what was your thoughts about the way that we played in that first half? Did you see any change like I saw, or do you just feel like today just maybe things were just getting back to where we wanted them to be?
And change from like the last 2 weeks, or change?
Yeah, where the
within
past
the game
episode
itself?
seemed to be all out, didn't it? You know, with 25 shots, no goals, 24 shots, 1 goal, obviously from set pieces. Today felt more controlled. We had less shots, however, we scored more goals.
Yeah, I think sometimes that comes down to the style of team that you play against. I think Liverpool have a really hard time against certain styles of teams. Teams that are going to be overly defensive, and there's a couple different ways you can be overly defensive that I think give Liverpool troubles. The way Atalanta plays is certainly one of those ways. So I think for a team in Fulham who is more willing to play a game of football, and are not going to necessarily press from that very high line all the time, but also are not going to just sit back and let you just kind of, they're not going to sit, 9 behind the ball and just wait for a counterattack. They're going to press more in that middle third, and occasionally, press from that first. So I think that is a little bit stylistically plays into Liverpool and the way that we want to play a little better. And so I think that allows us to kind of grow in a little more confidence and kind of find yourself throughout the game a little more. No, I think that people can make good arguments about, that's a fault rather than a feature for Liverpool, that they have such problems against certain styles. Regardless of that, I think it is a team that Liverpool are able to expose because of the stylistic matchup. I don't necessarily know as well that it was too much of a change tactically, rather than the tactic that we do use works better, I think, against an opponent like this. And frankly, I don't necessarily think that the quality of the opponent is all that high, to be perfectly honest.
Yeah, absolutely. And the where I come from that is just looking through the last couple of games here that we've not had we had 14 shots today, which is markedly it's a lot lower than any other game we've had for a long time. 7 of which on target, 3 goals, and it was just lovely to see what clearly is the plan, is that we create good chances and we should be scoring them, and it was nice to see. Trent Alexander-Arnold's free kick, we've seen this before. That's the second free kick that he scored against Fulham this season. They didn't give him the last one at Anfield, but for me, they should have done, just because of how good it looked. Anyway, great free kick, great goal. Really, really pleased with the way that we scored that one, controlled all the way up until that point. Polina lost his head a little bit, to be honest. He's been great, but he saw red because he felt there was a foul on Iwobi slightly before, and has gone out there and put a foul in there in a dangerous place. And it just shows that level of kind of the difference. And I'm glad that we weren't having somebody who was making silly decisions like that one. So yeah, great free kick, great goal. Right, going into the second half, and this is a great option. I'll throw this question out there before I give my answer to it. You've already mentioned on it there, Stu, so I'll give you first one. Gravenberch. What did you make of Gravenberch today? What was this is his first start in a good while.
Yeah, so I mean, obviously since his injury that he picked up in the League Cup final, so it's been, 2 months? Is that about right? Yeah, he started off a little bit slow. Obviously just trying to feed his way back into the game and just get used to the pace of things. But I think as the game went on, and obviously up into the goal and after the goal, he was excellent. I think going backwards and forwards, he had bundles of energy going backwards and forwards right through the center of the pitch. And I honestly think that is a little bit of something that we missed. Would I start him against, say, the likes of Everton in midweek? That's up for debate, but I don't see why not, to be fair. I'm still a big believer in playing players who are on form, who have shown good form. I've said this time and time again about Elliott as well. Elliott should have been starting ahead of Szoboszlai and Jones, as far as I'm concerned. But Gravenberch, yeah, I think he deserves a shot. He played really well today, and I think he showed that to Klopp as well. So, yeah, I don't see why not. I'd probably, if I was to give him a mark out of 10, I'd probably say about 7.5 to an 8, something like that.
Yeah, that's fair, absolutely. And what would you make of his position? Where would you? The question was being there is he more of a number 10? What would you make of that?
No, I still think he's an 8. I think he's more of a box to box midfielder. I don't quite see him as like sort of that player playing behind the front, like sort of the main striker or anything like that. So I still see him more as an 8, more than anything else. Box to box midfielder. He's got the energy for it at the end of the day, so he's just got to stay fit.
No, 100%. I like Gravenberch. I think he's very raw, and he's had a year out of football. And people do need to remember that from Ryan, is that he hadn't played all the last season. He's had no pre-season. He's come into this team, had a bit of an issue with an injury, which is a shame. I think he started really, really well. There was a good conversation about, is he, was he taking Jones's place? People were very impressed with him, and then he had a bit of a drop off, which is to be expected. I think he's struggled with fitness still. I think he still needs to build up his level of fitness. I don't think he can do a full game at the pace that we want him for. I don't think he's a number 10. I still feel that he is a left centre midfielder as an 8. That was where I would say that he is. And then who knows who our next manager A will be and where he will play. But it's going to be interesting as to what he can develop into. Cole, your opinion on Ryan Gravenberch? Nice to see him back, wasn't it?
Yeah, I'm a big fan of his. I think the general consensus amongst everybody in the group, that we speak to, is that there's a real diamond in there, and that with some consistency and with the proper belief and a little bit of time and patience, I think that there's a real player in there. And yes, Stu said it rightly. He definitely grew into the game. I didn't think, especially honestly, like up and until Trent's goal, I didn't think he was very good. And then from there on, a little bit of a step, and then into the second half, a big step. Even before the goal, I thought just more effect on the game. But I think he can really, really be great. I don't think it's, first of all, I guess I don't believe in that the true like number 10 as a position really. And you know, that certainly is my belief on it. I don't even know that is something that to me really works in modern football much anymore. With his physicality and his frame, that also to me would seem like a real waste. Here's someone who can, you know, you can't teach the size, you can't teach his like leg length. You can't teach it. You can't
teach the leg length.
You can't teach the measurables. You know, I've been watching a lot of NFL drafters next week. I'm going to be in attendance. So I've been watching a lot of like NFL like measurables on some of the prospects. So it's on my mind. Like you can't, he's what, 6'2", 6'3", and he's mostly legs. Like, I think using him as a 10 in a traditional sense would frankly be a waste of that.
He's like a more athletic Matip, isn't he? That's how you kind of describe it. You know, like has that ability of he's just all legs, but somehow is in control of it. And there was a part in the first half actually. He made a move. It was closer to the dugout. I can't exactly who he turned, but it was lovely. It was that takes the ball and then and he's took the player out of it, and you see that and I went, oh great, just really kind of went, that's it, that's what there is, and it's just bringing that out a little bit more. I do feel like his frame, he just feels like he needs a little bit more behind him. It's like a bit more weight. He just needs a bit more strength because he's a tall lad, but he's slender. He's a lean big. So I just kind of feel like he is young. That bit of weight can come on there. We've seen it with Stefan Bajcetic. He looks like he's been hitting that gym while he's been off on his gap year, finding himself getting into reggae or whatever he's been doing. I don't know what Stefan's been doing, but he's wearing colourful pants probably now.
I was thinking about, Dan, you were asking that question. You talking about the difference in like shots. I was wondering outside of I'd be very interested to see this outside of the Gravenberch shot, and goal. I don't feel like we were really firing from deep in the way that we kind of were.
Gakpo almost after we scored had a shot that was well saved. Then I think he had another one that was well saved in the second half. But the shots that we were taking, sounds daft to say, they were either going in or they were not, if that kind of made sense today. But the quality felt better. They felt like they were more controlled in the way that they took the chances and took the shots rather than just willy-nilly going, right, we'll just lash a foot at it or something.
We had talked about that, I think, over on one of the past streams, is that we just seemed like in the past couple of weeks, there seems at points where we're just like, approaching the box and we're like, we're just going to rip one. And they just are not even, they're not on cage at all. So
we're not one to get carried away on the LFC transfer room, by the way. We're only long hair away from being the next Ruud Gullit. So I'll appreciate that. However, I don't endorse that message quite yet. Please don't clip me. Right. Okie dokie. It was a great result. And Jota back amongst the goals. Stu, how glad are you to see Jota? He came back, was poor against Atalanta on the substitute when he came on in the first leg, had two really good chances on the header and somehow both of them went away from goal as opposed towards it. That's okay. He's been injured. We'll give him all that. Then obviously the next games have just come around. Wasn't great against Crystal Palace. Wasn't really there against Atalanta either, to be honest. But today, anonymous, to be honest, as a start, Jota is known for doing this. I felt that he was really not involved in the game. However, he did what he can do, which is he just scored a goal. And so tell me about Diogo Jota. Tell me how a player can be so anonymous but still be so effective.
I think that's the mark of football intelligence, as I put it down. I totally agree. He was anonymous for the vast majority of the game. He was there for a little bit of the link-up play, but he misplaced a few passes. He lost the control. He looked very rusty, which I kind of expect because he's been hampered by a lot of injuries over the last 18 months, 12 months, 18 months, something like that. But it's up there more than anything else. His football brain, he's very intelligent when it comes to his movement, and it just goes to show you. Look at his goal record when he has been playing. It's phenomenal. It's up there with like sort of world-class Premier League strikers. So there's no doubt in that at all. The stats don't lie. He is up there. It's just a case of keeping him fit. I mean, the other day, imagine if he was fit all season.
Oh God!
How many goals he would have? How many of those big chances that we've missed would actually be put away? I'd confidently say that we'd be running clear at the top of the league.
I'm convinced too. Yeah,
and I think he's one of those players again that was possibly classed as like an unsung hero. He doesn't perhaps get the credit that he deserves sometimes.
Not from other teams. Not from other teams. I don't think other fan bases see him as we see him. If that makes sense. That's how I interpret that.
Yeah, and the fact that he could play across like all three positions across that front line as well, his versatility and his intelligence, I think, are his two main attributes as a top class professional footballer. I think there's more to come. I just really, really hope that he can get a full season of injury-free play because I think he could be phenomenal. I really do. But it is just that injury worry again, as it always seems to be with most of our players. I don't know what it is, but
there's a train of thought that perhaps the way we play, with the way that Jurgen Klopp coaches our team, can lean into the fact that it will injure our players. There is, dots can create a line, and unfortunately, a lot of players do become injured in the way that they weren't before they join us.
It's that whole high risk, high reward sort of thing.
Exactly, and having a small team, which Klopp likes, he wants a small squad. He's never wanted a big squad. He wants to be able to keep everyone happy, and that leans into when you do have an injury, they have to play more. We get more injuries, and so on and so forth, and they snowball. So Diogo Jota, if we can keep him out of the wars, keep him fit, an unbelievable talent. I'm still convinced, to me, and I won't be convinced yet, that Diogo Jota will always be better off the bench than he will be starting. Colin, can you convince me otherwise?
No, because if you're driving the train, I'm sitting passenger seat. I think he's the most predictable person I think on our team who just goes through a game. I swear he took a peek over at the bench, saw he was about to get subbed off, and said, "All right, fine, I gotta go score my goal now because I'm going off." And just said, "All right, I'm gonna pop down and score the goal, and then I can go off." He just is so predictable in that way. He just, he might be invisible, and he's even more so this. And this is a critique that people use of Salah a lot, I think, especially when he's not, in his general play is not very good. He just will pop up for a goal and an assist. And you're like, oh, yeah, no, he still does that. And I think Jota does it even more.
Yeah.
It just will ghost through the game. Where was he? We don't know. His touch map all over the pitch, and not in a good way. Like you said, ball given away here or there throughout the game with consistency. And then just when we think that, all right, time to take him off. Oh, there's the goal. So he is so efficient in what he does. I mean, kind of. I
don't know if it's still true. And this is obviously when we all lauded. Obviously, Michael Edwards is back in the house, getting the gang back together. All the nerds are back in charge at LFC. The jocks are gone. The nerds are back in charge. There is pocket protectors going round. Computers are in charge again. Diogo Jota, obviously, when we signed him in 2020, I don't think any of us saw it coming, like at all. I didn't. All of a sudden, my mate messaged me and said, "You just signed Diogo Jota," and then I had to go and find out about Diogo Jota, and other than the fact that I knew his name and he played for Wolves, and in the data at the time, and I don't know if this is still true, Diogo Jota, when he signed for us, scored 50% of every chance in the box. So as a data point, it's like he was obvious, he was clear that if you give this man more chances in the box, he will statistically score every other one over a period of time. So it was like, wow. And that's what he's proven to be, in my opinion. He's proven to be a player who, if you give him chances, the goals are going to come. And that's why he is our most efficient goal scorer. It's why he is the person who's got the best finishing out of all of our players. And it isn't something which can be taught. That is the only downside that I think we've discussed is that when he starts, I rarely can think, I can't, unless anyone in the chat can tell me, please do. As you can tell me a time when Diogo Jota was brilliant from the start of the match. And the last one I can remember is when he played against Atalanta and we won 5-0. And that's the only one that comes off the top of my head. I can't recall a Premier League game. However, I can recall a list of games where Diogo Jota has played and started, and he's just been really poor. The one that sticks out for me is when we played Bournemouth at the start of the season. He scored, however, he was awful. The whole match, I was like, well, what is he doing? What is he? But he still scored a goal, and that is the effect that he has on this team, and why I'll always want him to be a player who comes on the pitch as opposed to one who starts. Right, there we are. Right, everyone, good evening. Good every evenings. Hello, Cole, Jen. Hello, everyone say hello to. We're all very kind to each other in the chat. Right, so going forward, let's have
right. I do have one question, actually. I've just thought of something. It's just popped into my head. I'm going to put this obviously on the guys in the chat and to you guys as well. Right. So obviously, last few weeks, our results have been pretty poor, to say the least, especially at home more than anything else. And everybody knows Anfield is our fortress. It is our den. Nobody likes going there, and our record is amazing. But do you think the psychological pressure of playing at Anfield has proven a little too much? And that's why we're playing, when playing away from home, our results have actually been a lot better and performance-wise as well, especially over the last few weeks.
Cole, you go first, mate.
I don't know if I had considered that. I don't think it's a bad point. I don't think it's wrong, to be honest. There does seem to be a, whether it's a pressure or like a expectation of a result when we're there, and we just think that we can just rock up sometimes, and like we'll just be willed over the line. I think for everybody in our chat that was very upset about the home Atalanta game, and the lack of the flags. Like I think sometimes the players and the manager, maybe just expect that the crowd will get them to the point where like we just find a way to win the game. And when that doesn't happen, I think we've had guys who have been there over the past couple months, and they've said the kind of home atmosphere has been kind of dire. And so when you don't have that and you still expect to have them, have this place like will you to a win, I certainly think that's a problem. I can definitely see that. I could definitely see that. Absolutely.
I'll elaborate because I'll agree with what a lot Cole says there. I think some of the issues that we've been having at home are based on expectation. We've been expecting to win those games. We expected to beat Manchester United. There was a lot of conversation about the time. I think that's where it sort of started. And it was a course of, we're going to win 3, 4, 5. It's going to be another 7-0. There's a lot of conversation around expectation. We're going to absolutely hammer that team and win. And on another day, we probably do. But it just didn't happen for us. And then we look at some of the other games that we played. Crystal Palace was a nervy one because it was off the back of the beating by Atalanta. I felt that was a mixture of the two that was coming in, where we had the disappointment of Atalanta, and then we were playing against a Crystal Palace team who we didn't know a lot about as a team because they have a new manager. So we don't exactly know how we're going to play against them or what's going to turn up. They could have parked the bus. They could have played man for man. They played three at the back. And there was a lot to learn. And eventually we figured them out, but we just didn't get the goal. From a fan's point, and I'll say this because this is true, the Europa League has been really poor as a fan base from a supporters side, based on the fact that we as a fan base don't rate it very highly. The tickets have been highly available. Anyone could have gone to that match. Unfortunately, I think that also attracts a particular type of fan who's going there for the experience rather than being part of the experience, if that makes sense. That they're there to experience Anfield, to entertain them, as opposed to them being the part of it. The argument about the flags, I don't buy into it. I think that's a bit of a nonsense. The flags are up there for a brief moment in time before the match. Anfield was loud before the game started. I had to rewatch the match to see whether or not I was convincing myself that hadn't happened. The Never Walk Alone was extremely loud. There was a lot of atmosphere before we started the game. However, there was expectation that we would win that match comfortably. I was part of that problem. And I don't think you'll find any Liverpool fan who didn't think we could rotate here, or we'll get 3-0 and we'll be able to heavily rotate away from home. We all convinced ourselves that we were going to Dublin. However, we didn't get to point A, B, C before we were in the final in D. So, yeah, I think that's been a mixture of it. And there's been quite a lot of tension at the ground because of, we've lost, we're in a title race, everyone's getting nervy, everyone's getting edgy. We've been here before, we've seen it before. So, yeah, being away from home these next couple of matches actually might be the panacea that we need. It might be the fact that the players can go out there and not have 60,000 people all expecting you to win this game, where we can just kind of go, right, do our business, do our work without the collective groans if we miss a chance or sighs when something doesn't go our way. So yeah, I think that Anfield for the last couple of matches might have worked a little bit against us as opposed to working for us. That's my view on that one.
Yeah, I think that's why I asked the question. It's just something I picked up on over the last couple of games. I was thinking, okay, we're on a run of fixtures now where we're away from home. Generally speaking, it'd be the other way around. If we're playing away from home, or any team's playing away from home, the pressure is more on the away team to perform. But psychologically speaking, anyway. But the game today and the game against Atalanta midweek, and then obviously we got Everton on Wednesday, and then we're West Ham away. It's coming thick and fast. I'm not worried about those games at the moment, to be fair. I'm actually more worried about the game when we go back to Anfield. But what I want to see from the fans is not so much pressure on the players, just to get behind the squad and let them do their thing more than anything else. As a side note, obviously, before you move on, I thought we were actually the home side at Fulham today. We were noisier than their fans were, which surprised me a little bit as well, which was nice to see. Well, it is Fulham. They are the posh club, I know. So it's
a £3,000 a season ticket here. I'm assuming they're not the beer swilling, loud, rambunctious crowd. They've even got a swimming pool in that new stand. So, yeah, I'm surprised they have their own chance, to be honest. Fulham's probably the ground where you could probably outsing them. They're a rich bunch down there. Not overly putting them all in there, but they probably are. Right, now, you've actually helped me segue into our next two games. So I'm actually going to discuss what's probably more important to us is Everton midweek. A fact for the watchers who may not know this already, Jurgen Klopp has not beaten Everton in daylight at Goodison Park ever. However, he has always beaten Everton under the lights at Goodison Park. Now tell me, Carl, is that not a good omen, or is it not?
It's a fantastic omen. Let's beat these bunch and send Goodison Park into the sea. For good. I'm despite the whatever went on there today. And you can take Forest's side in what they didn't play terribly. Everton, I thought they played well enough to win the game. I
Forest. They don't agree with you.
They played well enough to make the game at least tied. I think probably. It's not that I'm not worried because I don't think it's going to be a hard game. I'm not worried because I think we're going to turn up for it. I think that Jurgen's always had a fight against Everton. I can't ever remember any game against him that's been easy, or we just kind of walked away with a massive a literal walk in the park. So we know what we're going to get out of them. We know that this is their honestly their biggest game of the year.
Yeah.
They do still have a lot to fight for. And honestly, you probably couldn't ask for a worse time for them to lose 6-0 as 2 games before us. Because that you knew that they were going to get a response, and that you knew that that it will be challenging, and that they'll be up for it. So I'm ready for the fight. Jurgen's last time meeting them, which should be a win. We're in the night. He's ready for it. I think we're ready for it too.
I love that one. Stu, the last Merseyside derby at Goodison Park before they moved to the Poo Camp or the Berry Street Motors Arena, whichever one it's going to be. They've not named it yet, however it will be named. Tell me, are we going to give them a goodbye gift before they knock it down and turn it into a car park?
Of course we are. I love that name, the Poo Camp, by the way. That's great.
Stinks round there. Right next to the United Utilities water treatment area. Got its own aroma. Yes. Yeah. Not victory.
No, I think derbies are always feisty, tight affairs. Sean Dyche, pain in the arse manager, tactically wise, because you just know it's going to be a gritty, sort of nippy sort of game, especially sort of with his teams. But I do think now we have our squad back near enough to full fitness. I mean, that bench today looked pretty tidy, to say the least. And now we have that sort of that full squad of 18, 19 players, minus a couple of obviously the long-term absentees. Yeah, I think we've got more than enough in our team now to finish them off. And but if we want to score a few goals and catch Arsenal up on a goal difference, now's the time to play little Mr. T-Rex arms and slot a few past him. So
this is it. Right, Stu, tell me, our team that we played today against Fulham, does that not tell you probably what our team's going to be up against Everton now? Are you convinced it's going to be do you think Núñez is going to start? Do you think Salah's going to start? Do you think Szoboszlai, McAllister? For me, I can't believe that somehow we were able to rotate so heavily and play such a team who's probably will never play again in that group again, was able to get the victory, allow some of these lads a bit of a rest that they needed. Do you see us going back to the full strength Liverpool kind of on paper?
I would like to think not. Like I said earlier on, I'm a bigger believer in playing.
What, 2029?
No, I still believe that form counts for a lot. And if it's a player who's in form and who's been playing well, then they play, regardless of the name. No player is bigger than the club, as far as I'm concerned. Now, the starting lineup, let's analyze it from back to front. So Alisson, he stays in goal. That's unless anything happens, God forbid it doesn't. Trent, Van Dijk, Robbo. I think Konate was on the bench, probably just being rested, so I expect Konate to be starting. Although, to be honest, I would rather see Quanta starting at the moment.
I don't see a difference. I really don't see a difference right now at the moment. I don't see Quanta's better on the ball.
There.
So,
Endo starts for me. McAllister starts, and then in the central midfield, I think alongside those two, for me, it would be Elliott.
Really?
Then it would be Salah, Gakpo, and probably Jota or Diaz. I can't quite decide between those two. So that's the way I see the team lining up. But then again, it's Klopp. I don't know. It's hard to predict his teams when he's got a fully fit. But it's like he'd be like a kid in a candy store. He'd be like, "Oh, right, okay, I've got all these players. Who do I pick now?" He's got a lot to pick from. But that's the team I'd go for anyway.
I like it. Cole, your 11 for the Everton game, are you predicting anyone who's missing out, or do you think the players who were on the bench were being rested and going to play midweek?
Yeah, they are. Specifically, I think Konate. I think that we can even have a conversation about Quansah or Konate, which is like the best possible outcome for Quansah's season that any of us could have possibly imagined. Like, if you would have told any of us in the preseason that Quansah is not only going to start a ton of important games, but play as well as he had, I think you definitely could have got me to, bite your arm off for it. Like that's an incredible transformation for him in over the course of 12 months. I don't think that Elliott starts, although maybe I would want him to. I think you probably pick. I mean, so Szoboszlai's nailed on because I think he brings a lot of the physicality that is probably needed for a game like this. I think the problem with Elliott, and I think Elliott plays a lot more minutes against Atalanta if Klopp didn't think that he was going to get bullied around, which I think he's probably right. Like, you just get
Elliott couldn't play against Atalanta. That was a big ball. It was a big ball dropped by Klopp that putting him out there against the big units of Atalanta.
They're clearly constructed to be large and athletic, and that's exactly what they were. And I think Elliott would, and kind of similarly, I think in part that's kind of what Everton would like to be, is just big, athletic, and can play defense. I think on form, I would want Gakpo to play, but I don't know that he's going to give him a third game to start in a row.
Not after the minutes he played, to be honest. I don't see him playing near enough full 90s and then going a third time.
I could see a Jota, Nunez, Salah front three.
I'm not against it.
No,
I'm not.
I could see Diaz is, to me, the first person in the front three who goes on the team sheet, but he's played a lot of minutes. He's had a lot of minutes.
He's played the most.
So that's that's a little concerning for me. Although I wouldn't be totally surprised if he's in. I'd be fine with McAllister in midfield still. McAllister or Endo is both good for me. At a 6, I think we're gonna have a lot of the ball. I think that is where McAllister is best at the 6. I think he's been awesome in that position.
Where have you been in the chat? I've been out there on my own defending myself, like the last stand.
I know. I just can't. I can't take everybody all the time with
just watch from the sidelines.
I know. Leaving you out there, to dry.
I'm like that meme, aren't I? I'm the one that skeleton at the bottom of the chair while you're at the top there. Just like, I agree with you.
And then I wonder if Gravenberch gets, it's like Szoboszlai, Gravenberch, and McAllister. That's in the midfield.
Yeah, I mean, looking at that one, I completely agree with you. Alisson for the rest of eternity in time. I'm not sentimental in any way, shape, or form towards any footballer. You get the best players on the pitch every single time. It's a team game, not an individual game, and that'll always say that. No player should ever be promised a game or a match or a tournament. That's nonsense. It's utter nonsense in my. That's stuff that you do in child level football, where you go, "Oh, don't worry, you'll get this one." We're paying you to be part of the team. But no digs against Craven Kelleher. Thought he was brilliant at times. Thought he was not so brilliant at others. That's where I'm at with him. Trent Alexander-Arnold has to play. He has to play every single game between now and the end of the season. What would we be resting him for? There's nothing else to play for. Yeah, he is. He's incredible. But
when he rocks onto the field, you can just see that they all believe in him in the way. Like he is truly a world class, like generational defining player, especially for his position. Like he's different.
He's ethereal, isn't he? You know, you see a player like that who's got the ability to do what he can with a football as a right back, for God's sakes.
He is starting to get that aura of Gerrard.
100%.
He's starting to like, so you just feel like sort of now that he's back in the team and he looks a lot more physical for it as well. He's just got that little bit of something about him that Gerrard had. Not the same type of player, but that same sort of just that aura around him. And as Cole said, the rest of the players in the team, when he's got the ball, they feel confident that he has got the ball and something is going to happen. He's going to make something happen.
That's 90% of the battle, isn't it? When a player makes a run, when Trent's got it, they believe he can make that pass. They believe that when I'm going to make this movement, the ball can go to me. So things happen because he's capable of it happening, but also they believe that he can make it happen. Those are two things which are just, you know, they're so important to us. And there's no reason to rest Trent for anything. He has to start every single match, and that's the end of it. There's nothing to rest for. What, the Euros? I couldn't care less. Could not care a jot at all. He's a Liverpool player, not an England player. So if he gets an injury between now and the end of the season, so what? He needs to play for us. He needs to be able to get us the results that we need. Kwanzaa and Konate, flip a coin. Like, it really is, which is incredible. One we bought for £40 million. The other one we got for free. Like, it's incredible that we've got a player of... I mean, what's Kwanzaa worth now? What would Kwanzaa be worth? You know, 50? 50? He's got to be. So if we bought this lad for 50 million quid from, you know, Benfica out of the blue, everyone would be like, what a signing, incredible, look at the money, you know, and we got him for free. Konate has had some difficult games. He's not played his usual self. He's not been as self-assured. I was really pleased with the progress that he made last season into this season. However, it seems to have dropped off since he got that little injury from the international break in and around there. So, yeah, that's fine. We'll park that. The quality of Konate is there to be shown. Van Dijk, obviously. Robertson will have to play. I don't think that he had a bad game. However, he is our most natural left-back. Costa Simicas shouldn't be playing in our team. He isn't good enough. He should be leaving this summer, and I hope that he is. Simple as that. Going into midfield, because we're going to have so much of the ball and the attacking threat that Everton possess, because they lost Beto, means we're probably going to be playing up against DCL. And for me, we shouldn't need a ball-winning Endo-type 6 in this game. This is a real opportunity, which, by the way, McAllister is also incredible at winning the ball back. He is statistically, he wins the ball back just as much as almost anybody. He's actually up there very, very close to Rodri. So that aside, he's also got the ability of being able to play unbelievable balls from deep. He's been absolutely incredible for us. So McAllister fully rested in the 6 all day long. Dominic Szoboszlai, just for athleticism, just because he's going to be able to run, he's physical, can win the ball back, he's going to get stuck into this game. The reason I go against Elliott is because I think he's wonderful, but I also feel he's also better off the bench. I think he benefits from playing against players who are a little bit slower, a little bit, you know, not as quick to the ball, and because he's such an intelligent player, he can take advantage of that. A game that he did that well was when he played against Wolves. He came on and he was so influential because they were knackered and he could just get into the spaces and play the balls that he wanted to. So absolutely bring him in. Gravenberch, Jones. Oh, I don't know. That's the position in the team, that left centre mid. I'm not 100% sure on. That's the one which I think's up for debate. I think he'll probably go Jones. I just think he will. I think he'll go with Jones. He didn't play, didn't get a start today, so I think he's rested him. And going up front, I think Salah will play. I think he will. I think he'll be well up for it now. He'll probably be raring to go because he'll have something to prove. Núñez, I think, will start. I'm almost convinced. I think he's been rested. However, if Cody Gakpo started through the middle, I'd be happy. If Diogo Jota started, I'd be happy. And I think Diaz has just got the left-hand side locked down, which is a shame because I think Gakpo plays his best football at left wing. But we can't play Diaz anywhere else. Because I thought Diaz looked quite good as a 9, to be honest. And when we played against Palace, he scored that goal, which was just offside. And he did that sort of like 9 movement. And I thought might be a good place for him to play down the middle, but he didn't want to play in there. So, yes, that's that game. Just very quickly before we come to an end, West Ham. I was really worried about this match. I was really concerned about playing them at their ground. But as they've been playing recently, it all seems to have fallen apart. They got beat 5-2 against Crystal Palace. Great team, by the way. They beat a top club recently. And, at the end of the day, they're just a top team. And the fact that it was only 1-0 clearly seems it was a good result for us. Stu, what do you make of West Ham? Do you think that's going to be, after they got beat so heavily, are you concerned that there will be a reaction?
Yeah, I think there will be a little bit of reaction, but I think their squad is looking very, very depleted at the moment. As I said just before, obviously we came on stream, I checked. Yeah, Bowen is out injured, and it doesn't look like he's going to be ready for the Liverpool game. So that's a bonus for us. Yeah, their squad is looking very depleted. They will be looking to bounce back with a reaction, obviously, to them playing at home. But as I said, our squad is looking a lot stronger, a lot fitter. A lot more stacked out now compared to West Ham's. West Ham, have they got anything to play for? Are they still pushing for a Europa League spot this year?
Yeah, Europa Conference, I think it is this season.
Yeah,
they're an 8th.
Also, there's that uncertainty around Moyes because it doesn't look like he's going to be sticking around. So it's the case of what are they playing for exactly? They don't. Their form has been so erratic this season. I'm a little bit surprised that they are actually fighting for Conference League, Europa League area at the moment, but I don't know, I'm kind of all right. I'm feeling pretty confident that they'll be Liverpool will be all right at West Ham. To be fair, I would hedge a bet at probably about 3-1, 4-1 again, something like that.
I'll take it. Cole, your opinions on West Ham? Are you concerned? Not always had the best results against West Ham away. Do you feel like this could be our most difficult game of the week?
No. Their downturn in form is, if I was them, I'd be very concerned. I think their last 5 in the league are what? So a draw against Villa, not terrible. They lost to Newcastle 4-3. They drew Tottenham. They lost to they beat Wolves. But then they lost to Fulham 2-0, and they lost to Palace 5-2, with an exit from the Europa League in between.
Yeah,
it's for them. It's a concerning point. I think what I'm looking at, especially this result against Palace, looks to me like they gave everything they had for that game against Leverkusen in the midweek, and there just is not much left in the tank. I don't think that they don't have a lot of time to recover, to try to get more back into the tank. And especially with if Bowen's going to be out, if I was them, I'd be very concerned about this game. I think Palace are certainly playing better than they were 2 months ago, but to concede 5 in the way that they did is definitely worrisome, and I wouldn't expect us to give them any room to breathe, frankly. So not to think too lowly of anybody, but I think if we play in the way that if we play in the same way we did against Fulham today, I don't think that they have what it takes to draw us a game.
Yeah, no, I'd agree with that one. I was quite worried. It's weird, West Ham. It's like you look at certain games, and when we played them earlier on in the season, and we went out 3-1 winners, and it was a really nice afternoon of football in the end. They were at their full strength at the time, weren't they? They had Bowen, they had all the players, Antonio, there was Paqueta who came on. He was very influential. I thought he was brilliant. He's clearly clocked out because he's, joining Man City in his head, so he's had enough. The fans have had enough. Well, they have had enough, haven't they? Because, they've had enough of Moyes, which is a shame because, and it's just before we finish, in respect to West Ham, and where they are, they've just won a European trophy, albeit the GCSE level version of European trophy, never mind a BTEC one. It's still a trophy, still something that they haven't won for a long, long time, and ultimately it meant a lot to teams like Feyenoord win the last one, and then it was Roma, wasn't it? If I remember that correctly. Yeah. So there's and for those clubs, it's important because they were great clubs who were winning European competitions, and they did that. And it's unfortunate because Moyes' football is negative. It isn't the best looking, it isn't the most attractive. However, it's brought them ultimately what is important in football, which is winning trophies. That's what it's all about. They're a solid mid-table club. They're in there with Brighton. I know everyone walls on and go, "Oh, Brighton are incredible. Look at this football. Look how well they're run. Look at all this. Look how well they're doing." But Brighton are in the same boat as they are. They're in the same place, and West Ham are obviously very disappointed with the way things are going, and they're going to lose Moyes. And I worry for them because as much as we're struggling to find a top quality manager to come in, the management pool is very, very diluted. There's not a lot of very good managers who are available. And sometimes it's better to stick with who you have. The ownership want to keep him. They've offered him a deal. It's up to him whether he wants to take it, which is fair enough. I'm not overly concerned. I think that we'll get the result. I'd like to think that we can play the way that we play today, be controlled, be professional.
Yeah.
Don't concede a silly goal. And then when we get things going the right way, just do what we have to do. Just go into this now with more of a robotic way rather than turning it into a basketball match all the time. So yeah, I'm quite happy. I'm really, really happy with the way that we are. And gone just before we are. Sorry, Dan, you are right, but West Ham are actually in the boat above Brighton, finished like 5th, 6th, top 6, 4 or 5 years. Yeah, they have. They're not. It's funny how context means a lot. Brighton are very happy with where they are because of where they finished, where West Ham are not. It's strange, isn't it, at times to say that, well, what more is it you need? Like, it's not automatically that you go from being in 6th to 4th to in a title race. These things take time, and maybe some fans just aren't quite happy with the way it was. But if the football isn't attractive, if you want to watch your team be entertaining, then I can understand. Right, everyone, I really appreciate and never give up. Thank you very much. Appreciate your feedback. And I'm not talking complete nonsense all the time, just some of the time. Right, I want to thank Stu. I want to thank Cole for coming on. Really, really appreciate it. Liverpool have won 3-1 today. Savor it. This doesn't happen very often in recent history, so we'll take this and we'll maybe even get the DVD out. Right. If you've enjoyed the stream today, put a like on. Please subscribe. Put a comment in. If you just put a comment in on there, just saying for the algorithm, it helps us. So please just put something in there if you're watching. And until next time. We've been in the LC transfer room. We'll see you later. Take care, guys. Bye.